Good morning, folks, wherever you're joining us from. Let us know if you understand the assignment this morning, that we ain't got to push and we ain't got to prod you, but you understand the assignment. How are you folks doing? Great to have all of you on the live. Wherever you're joining us from this morning, first and foremost, let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. We're seeing the lights bumping up and down, indicating that we have sound going out, sound out. Whether you guys can hear this is another story. Good to see so many of you on the live. Ashley, never met an Ashley I didn't like a lot. Brenda Moore, Owen, Carlton, Bernice. Ashley, good to see you there. Vanessa Adams, Jilly G. Jilly G, good morning, my sister. Good morning. Good morning, Sandra. Upright Youth, Bridge Mohan. Good to have you as well. Carlton Smith, Lynette Finance, Joy Wong. Wong Ping at a little shop. Operating in top. All right. It's showing my age there. As I can see. Desiree, Brian, Cheryl. Good to have all of you on the live. Good to have you, Rena. Ashley. Good to have all of you here with us this morning. Wherever you're joining us from, hope that you're good and well this morning and you know you hit the ground running. We got to hit the ground running. We got to stick together. I mean, the old knees and so on, the one good foot. But we got to try. You know how? So much happening out there this morning. Folks, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? You know, we've just been skimming through some of this stuff. Drinking a cold cup of coffee. People still with elections. Elections. 2025 general regional elections, local government elections, 2026. People are still there, you know. Irfan's PPP. All right, Jaguar PPP. Let's be honest. Jaguar's PPP. Irfan is just a poor player on the stage who struts his stuff, but for a moment, Shakespeare says. And then is seen no more. PNCR, we invest in nationhood. Lapping at our heels. People's National Congress reform, PNCR. Lots of the talk is around that. You know? Lots of talk is around that. We skim through the dailies and what's happening online internationally. The oil wealth. Where the money coming to the people. Is it getting to you? Some of that is the conversation this morning. Online, you skim. Skim and scrape. Read and analyze. Is the oil wealth getting to our people? That's what some of the discussion centers around. The promise that is. Will that promise be made real? Is it only for the well-connected? Who know who got strings? Or is it inclusive? Wherever you come from, whatever walk, whatever hue. So all that is some of what we saw bubbling up on the dashboard, nationally, internationally. You know, one of the things we got to focus on: election. And then you got to what's happening on the foreign policy front. You see this Venezuela and this Essequibo. And we got to solve this, and that's why our best bet is to stay with the ICJ litigation, thanks to David Arthur Granger, who used that 18 million signing bonus from Exxon to get that matter before the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. And we know them boys came in and they lied that the 18 million could not be found, and they knew. As a matter of fact, beyond knowing, they agreed to it. They agreed the matter should be sent there. And from their own experience, they know these litigations aren't cheap. Venezuela, lapping on our heels as a country, we got to watch that too. You know. And we better use this moment to summon some national pride, some patriotism. Because if it can't come now, it ain't going to come. It's not going to come. I'm just giving you all a skimmer, some of the stuff we see making the news online. When you amalgamate, you see, what's another word? You pull together. All right. Some of the trends you're seeing online. Governance and fairness. Judicial independence and due process. Again, is the court just favoring one set of people? See, Faith McGusty wasn't having it the other day. See, the Bar Association stepped in as well recently and said, y'all stop attacking judicial officers. PPP. Stop attacking judicial officers. No, I wish they had stepped in. Also, when you had Barath Jagdeo attacking the judge over the ExxonMobil parent company guarantee decision, Sandil Kisoon, I wish they had stepped in as well when the PPP, Jagdeo and others, Nandalal and so, they were attacking the Guyana Teachers Union judgment, attacking those judicial officers. They know law. What do they know but labor law? We know everything here. We're the fountains of all wisdom. They know nothing but petroleum law and so on. That's what they said. I'm happy that the Bar Association is speaking up. If you're now joining us, we're just talking about some of the trends, some of the things that making the rounds online, some of the things that brewing, you know, bubbling up. A cup of cold coffee here. You know, a broad sweep. Then you turn yourself to crime and safety and what we call the human interest stories, violence against women. My God, the acid attack, the Lola doll, attempted assassination, violence against women, the mother in Charlotte Street that was shot to death by a former paramour, father of a child, violence against women. Why we can take this serious? When are we going to take it serious? We need some real intervention. Not just tokenism intervention like Black Tank intervention. We need some real interventions. Real interventions. And then traffic accidents. My God. Carnage on our roads and our waterways. Following this issue, this 8-year-old girl, 8 years old, Supaira Khan. They said a pickup overtook her family's electric bike, also known as a keke, collided with it, throwing her and her father onto the roadways. Learned her mother said, I can't eat, I can't sleep. Broken. See? And we told the breathalyzer test from that driver of that pickup showed that the alcohol in his breath exceeded the legal limit. Exceeded the legal limit. We're just skimming through a couple of things we saw percolating that gives you a sense of what's happening in this country of ours. Percolating. So as well, on a lighter note, maybe we should have started here. In terms of entertainment, and we talk a bit about tourism as well this morning. Culture. Saw the film festival, Georgetown Film Festival that was launched in 2025, picking up some conversation online. We're just giving you all a little sampling of the temperature. If you don't mind, I beg your pardon, Sandra and Janice and all the other folks, the helpers. You must pronounce me to call this, you must train me to pronounce this properly. Deborah Pearson, Louisa Johnson. The Georgetown Film Festival showcased the Guyanese and Caribbean films, and it sparked a lot of discussion around gender-based violence and environmental justice. Much needed conversations. There's a particular featured work or featured works of this film festival, the Georgetown Film Festival, included Parliament Girls. This is a social justice drama about violence against women. Another feature film was Voices of Resistance. This was a documentary on environmental defenders. So I brought you from what's happening on the political scene, what's happening on the social scene, culturally now. These films making the rounds, and if you get a chance to see them, please do. And then we were taking a look at Guyanese American author Shivani Jai. She has a debut psychological thriller. Right? I haven't really dabbled in fiction in a long time. I used to read fictions like, whoa. But then the resurgence of the PPP, who need to read fiction, you got the thing right in front of you watching. But when last you read a good novel? Help me out, somebody. When last you all read a good novel? You know, a good novel. When last? A proper novel. You know, here's this young Shivani Jai with this fantastic, they say, psychological thriller. Saw a young lady, what's her name again? My Lord. She also put out a book recently too. All right? It's a lot of folks. Carl Providence said yesterday, you are being light, you know. You are being light here. Please and thank you. So a number of things happening. That's what I really want to draw your attention to. A lot of stuff happening. A lot of stuff happening. How are you doing, Brian Daniels? John and Ursula. Great to have all of you on the live as we begin this morning. If you joined us yesterday morning, we got a lot of bridge problems in this country. Yesterday morning, we were talking about the Lyndon Mackenzie Bridge. By last evening, we were talking about the Demerara Harbor Bridge. Go figure. Go figure. But just a little bit on what we spoke about yesterday morning. One of the things we touched on is that the PPP never like independence, and as a result, never like local government bodies, never like local government, period. 20-something years minus a local government election. And they would come now and lecture you on democracy, lecture you on local democracy, local government. 20 plus years, we didn't have local democracy thanks to the PPP. And so they're unaccustomed of how to navigate it, which has led to some trouble in Linden. And just in brief, a brief part of that discussion we had yesterday morning, with outgoing mayor of the Mayor Town Council of Linden, the municipality of Linden, incoming member of the National Assembly, member of Parliament, Sharma Solomon, spoke to him about some of those issues yesterday morning. A sneak peek, a little bit on that. We see you guys on the other side.
This is not a government that is respectful of local democracy and local governance. This is a government, I know even in the campaign, it was one of the feature of the message in terms of good governance. And this is a government that doesn't have any respect for good governance. Allowing institutions to work, allowing these municipalities to function in line with 2801, allowing councillors to be given the sort of empowerment just like the mayor should to execute their function instead of obstructing that with imposing town clerks and undermining the local government commission and an imposition by the minister. Those are in itself just the level of no respect for councils, one, but in itself to undermine local democracy and the decision and the choice that are made by people in identifying their local leaders.
Yeah, because, and while we're on that, as against engagement, what we saw is a lot of conflict and contention, and we only have the recent issue of the, what you call the amplifier during the meeting being unplugged and all of that.
I mean, they say that, Sherrod. I mean,
by the chunk clerk, appointed by the PPP, that's what
well, we would normally refer to him as the PPP appointed clerk. This is first public servant I know that has been appointed 2 times to the same position, because we called them out on it when they had appointed him incorrectly, and then it was corrected and he was appointed once again 4 months after. But we had outlined to Linden and the commission that his appointment is an imposition for 2 things: to undermine the work of the council and wherever resources are to ensure they are given to family, friends, and favorites. And we have witnessed that on several occasions, including the obstruction, as you said, with the amplifier situation. But that in itself goes to show again the level of respect that the People's Progressive Party got for local democracy, local government, and good governance. Added to that, Sherrod, with reference to the clerk and his conduct, I think it's important as we anticipate to come a next local government elections, we see where government, not only with undermining with these administrators, but without giving resources to council, give to parallel groups, whether they are CDCs or others, to do the work of councils instead of allowing councils to do their work. And I know this is one of the play for the PPP with reference to their local government campaign. Bypass councils that are aligned to the opposition and to ensure resources are given to party, family, friends, and favorites in those CDCs group. So let me give you one. At the last local government election, every candidate of the People's Progressive Party is a chairperson of a CDC group. That is where the resources are then passed to popularize those candidates who failed miserably, by the way, at the last local government. And
after they said there was a red wave in Linden.
Well, Sherrod, I think by now we have a good understanding of how in Linden,
never materialized.
Certainly. But I think it's given us a good opportunity in preparation to see all of the antics of the PPP to undermine councils and to even see their campaign approach to local government in terms of not respecting local democracy.
Yep, that's some of what was discussed on Sunday. We had that sit down on Sunday, and a lot of bridge problems. A lot of bridge problems. We're talking about that accident happened on the Wisman Mackenzie Bridge, where the portion of the bridge gave way and sent some folks almost plummeting to the murky depths of the Demar River beneath. A young woman, an infant, and the ride of that motorcycle as well, almost, plunging to the depths of the Demar River. And look, some antics I've seen out of Win Investing Nationhood. They ain't gonna come to speed very quick. Very quick. I see some pushback in Linden already. People want more. People want more. And they'll have to come to terms quite soon, quite shortly, that elections is over. And when elections are happening, a lot of people got the eyeball on you. When they go, they can see less and less people showing up. They gotta get accustomed to that. Because they say you campaign in poetry, you govern in prose. This is the prose time. This is the prose time. So they gotta come out in celebration mode and realize, because the people are calling for more than handouts. And even when, if you listen to them, they say, no, look, we can't be handing out stuff all the time. Is the government responsible? But we've been saying a little while now. That's what we've been trying to get into government to do. The government has certain responsibilities. And if you take the onus off of the government and you think you can do it on your own, you can see a billionaire become a thousandaire very quick. Very quick. A billionaire become a thousandaire, because I don't know if you realize it, but we got $1 trillion economy now. The problems we got takes trillions of dollars to fix. Last year, and it was trillions more. Well, just in February, March this year, the budget was passed. And shortly, they can be coming for trillions more. So if you got an inexhaustive supply of trillions as an opposition, but let's watch how our brothers and sisters navigate. So that was one which we were talking about, that incident there that took us into local government and how the PP operates. They obstruct more than they engage, disengage more than they're helpful. And by evening last night, we were talking about the other bridge, the Moore Harbor Bridge, of which Richard Hoyt, engineer by study and practice, had some concerns. Let's dip our feet into that a little bit. We come back and talk about some of the challenges we see on the horizon. Take a look, take a listen.
There was a time in, I think it was North Korea, where an engineer built a bridge that collapsed and people died, and he was sentenced to death. Thank God this is not North Korea, and that will never happen here. But I'm saying this to let you know the importance of engineers carrying out their functions effectively. And if we have politicians who would prevent engineers from functioning the way they're supposed to function, then we have a problem.
Yeah. Well, we're thankful that better senses prevail.
Yes.
And that bridge is now undergoing the necessary tests. But you did mention studies early on, and one of the things that this government has been quizzed a lot about studies for this new Harbor Bridge, and initially they had said it was a no-brainer. This would just redound to our benefit and nothing adverse in terms of impact on the environment, etc., etc., etc. Are you concerned with that kind of thinking generally?
Yes, it is that kind of thinking that has us where we are, because there's no zoning for the public transportation, and when the buses start coming over there, it's going to impact the pockets of the traveling public. It's going to impact the residents and the communities of. That is the no-brainer we're talking about.
We're talking about no zoning, even on the Heroes Highway.
Even on the Heroes Highway,
traffic lights and so on seem to
have been. We're going to Heroes Highway because let me say this: Heroes Highway is already congested. The traffic alone from the East Bank and Georgetown. When you bring now and incorporate into that traffic
thousands of vehicles
coming from West Bank and West Coast, and you dump them onto Heroes Highway, what do you think will happen?
No overpass, no
overpass, no flight. Now I heard there's talk about an overpass, but it's interesting where that will go.
Why is it occurring as an afterthought? The same way even the roundabout there, where the traffic is coming off this new Harbour Bridge onto Heroes Highway, seems to have been an afterthought because at least it didn't go into the original construction
Of the road.
of Heroes Highway.
Correct. So we're going back to the same no-brainer because we view everything as a no-brainer. That when I say we, I'm talking about the leadership in this country. We view everything as a no-brainer because we don't have any strategic way of planning. Because if there was a strategic way of planning, we would have known that bridge is going to come and land on Heroes Highway, and there would have been a need for a roundabout there for free flow of traffic.
Some of the bridge concerns of the new Harbour Bridge, the new Harbour Bridge. Some concerns there that we got to surmount. Folks, as an aside, I was interviewing the mayor, as you saw there. I noticed some folks here we got that blue. Y'all notice credible sources got two colors, right? It's blue and orange. So we got our blue shirt and it's branded credible sources. And then we did the inverse with our t-shirts that we had on for the second interview with engineer Richard Hoyt. Orange t-shirt, because I noticed somebody said last evening, you got PVP now. It's an orange shirt that has the... It reminded me of this theory in communication studies that people hear what they want to hear. People see what they want to see. You know, we could be exposed to the same music and people come away with different experiences altogether, as a friend of mine would say. A favorite word. Come away with different experiences. But that's the nature of life, huh? You hear spitting facts and people worry about color. But that is to say, we did talk about somewhat Richard said there, Richard Hoyt, about how some standards, some work could be. We gotta reimagine government. We gotta reimagine government. And that is something, right, that the winning party is going to have to come to terms with as it seeks to lead the opposition. Reimagine government to the extent that, at least in Guyana, the opposition gets no resources from the government, save a very small budget, which is to maintain a staff, a salary for the leader of the opposition, and a small clerical staff. It's enough to do that and nothing else. And nothing else. So unless you got very deep pockets that you could carry a whole opposition, you could run parallel projects to the government, a lot of what you will do is go to communities and listen to their concerns and make representation. A lot of what you will do. So while we in trying to get the work, we have been able to give out houses and this and that. Look over the next 5 years, how much of that will be done? 3 months is different from 5 years, you know. 3 months is different from 5 years. In 5 years, people get disenchanted. After the first couple of months, and people realize house ain't coming, bike ain't coming, car ain't coming no more. People say, might as well we vote for we own, because what is it? Just recently, we saw the presumptive leader of the opposition, and folks, I'm not trying to be disrespectful by any means, just in case you guys don't understand how it works because you've probably not been exposed to it. And one of the things I want to do in this 5 years is expose more people to the workings of Parliament and the National Assembly. More of our young people, more people in general. Parliament needs to be called, and at that first sitting, some of the first order of business, appointing the Speaker of the House, the Deputy Speaker of the House, appointing Speaker and Deputy Speaker, and then the parliamentarians are sworn in. That makes it official. You gazette it and all of that. But unless you take the oath, you can't go in the chamber or outside and represent anybody, really and truly. Technically, you're elected, you're extracted from a list. But unless you put your hand on the Bible, on the Bhagavad Gita, on the Quran, nothing I'm doing. That's why I saw Wynn's General Secretary, when that's the Prime Minister yesterday, asked him, it's when Parliament convening, man. When Parliament convening. And then, this is a crucial part I really want to get to. On the sidelines of that, I think it should be a main part of the sitting. On the sidelines of that first sitting, the opposition members of Parliament vote. That is attended by the Speaker, doesn't get too involved, he's just there as a witness. That person, that group, the parliamentary opposition, votes for the leader of the opposition. So while it is assumed, that's why we say presumptive, that because Wynn has the largest number of MPs in the parliamentary opposition, he will naturally be seen as the person who his team is going to pick as the leader of the opposition. He's not leader of the opposition until he is voted in as leader of the opposition by members of the who are now officially members of Parliament, having taken the oath earlier. And that's why I could understand their frustration. Because by the time they do that, the Wynn team now has to put together a budget. I don't know how much it is. $25 million. That's one house in a $25 million budget for the year. You understand now, when we talk about reimagining government, some of you too emotional about this thing, you know. The reality is confronting us, how emotional. Largely the opposition makes representation. You're going to raise some money. I saw the current leader of the opposition, Mr. Norton, giving out some brush cutters recently. You know, maybe our fault was too much of that was done quietly. And in the social media age, if you got a picture of the thing, it didn't happen. If you got a little video of the thing, it didn't happen. Very quietly, in his own style. He didn't even go in person. I saw a representative of the leader of the opposition giving out 3 brush cutters to some entrepreneurs. But in terms of doing any large-scale projects, unless you don't have an inexhaustible, sum of money, a lot of people will be disappointed over the next 5 years because they will not get anything. And that is why, for instance, how we got here, I saw yesterday morning a gentleman by the name of Bourne. Some of you might have seen as well. He took to social media with Conan Marshall in Linden, and he was incensed that Wynn coming in and promising 4 black tanks to some folks at Black 42, saying, what is the difference between you and the PPP? They're bringing black tank, you bringing black tank. What the people need is something permanent to solve the water situation in Block 42. They need a well. They need a well. But I could imagine in the minds of Wynn, a well might be, I don't know, let's say $30 million. $30 million for one community when I could buy, you know, I know how much black tanks to get for $30 million. You know, and give out 3 here. Let's say I give 50. One well as against 50 black tank. I give a 3 here, a 2 over. So you stretch it out, it's better for the optics. It's better for the optics. If digging a well is 30 million, I'm just averaging, and the budget for the leader of the opposition for the year might be 30 million, you're only doing one well. You only doing one well, and then you got to shut shop for the year. You got to shut. But the reality of what it means to be opposition is going to hit us. And that is why we have to reimagine government. The tragedy is, on all sides, that once you're in, nobody wants to give an edge to the opposition. Some of you might say it's just good politics. Politics is politics. You want to give no edge to the opposition. So there's no budget there for a little project here and project so. And so in large measure, you're digging one hole to fill another hole. Government won't give no leeway, no advantage. And very soon, the things you all were hoping for, you all will realize it just comes with being opposition. You'd love to give 50 grass cutters, but you only got something here for 3. You'd love to give a whole housing scheme, but you can only afford a 2x4. And it's a reality that's going to grip the folks in Wynn. You'd love to be in every community, but it takes money, especially the hinterland, to traverse back and forth. And so, while it used to be just you alone, and you could move, now you got councillors all over the place, got to move too. That takes money. It takes money. And so the poetry of the campaign is now being replaced with the prose of governance. I wasn't shocked when I heard the outgoing vice chair of Linden on a live pushing back against what this guy Bourne said about Azudin and his black tankism, and that is no different from the PP. Mark said we can't do everything for everybody. Basically, he said what Mr. Muhammad will be doing is going to communities to represent. You see, that's how you put it up. He only need to step in, and that's where this thing come from. He ain't gonna put a boat. You know, you think it's one boat you could put. By the time you put a boat there, somebody call you, we need a boat too, we need a boat over there, we need a boat over so, we need a boat at the back there. So now he is saying, government gotta provide this boat. Government gotta this is the reality now of governance. This is the representation that we've been doing for the last 5. In this very area, we've made the same representation too about government needing to provide the boat. Now people think Muhammad gonna bring the boat. Right? Muhammad, they're complaining that the government-owned boat used to ferry students in the Lower Pomeroon is in disrepair, forcing parents to pay private fares of $2,000 per day per child. Now can you imagine them parents saying, if I vote for Win, he can pay this thing for we. Now Win in opposition, making representation. Same representation the opposition been making for the last 5 in the Pomeroon. Listen to some of what Muhammad said. He argued that the boat's neglect is imposing a heavy burden on families and causing some teenagers to skip school. Tell me if this is familiar to y'all. The 5B's initiative. boat, bicycle, biscuit, book bag. Is that familiar to you? We had boats and school buses under the APNU AFC. Them people squash all of that. And ever since they went in, they hop in, the asterisk in, installing in 2020, we've been making the representation for the people of Region 2. And then the people of Region 2 said, no. We want this representation thing. They bring in a money man. And now the money man making representation. He said this thing is causing kids to skip school. We've been saying that. We've been saying that as well. So all I'm saying, folks, is very soon and very shortly, we have to own up to some of the thoughts you all had about the opposition, like the then opposition, main opposition, APNU, AFC. We were sitting on some money and just decided we weren't going to benefit the people of this country. But when in office, we were fixing that problem, ensuring that kids travel to school free on the boat that was provided by the state, on the bicycles and the buses that were provided by the state. So we had an opportunity, and we didn't just make representation when we had it in our power to do differently. We did differently. And then in comes the PPP. Push all to the side, and now they're talking about a transportation grant. When the kids had the boats, not only boats for school, they had the river ambulances as well, bicycles, and all of that. Discontinuing all of that. The point I'm making is not to slam Win, but I get that some of you are going to be on here and you're going to hear different things. The point I'm making is the reality that a lot of Win councillors will wake up to. That even when you are councillor on the NDC and your party got the chairman of the NDC, you are not calling the shots of the public purse, even on the NDC and on the RDC. And a lot of what the APNU was being blamed for was outside of our jurisdiction. The point I'm making largely here is if we want different is not just talking. We got to reimagine government to suit our present condition. And unless we ain't talking that talk, we ain't going no place. I heard, for instance, folks say, I will hold my councillors responsible. No, that can be taken in a vacuum. That can be taken in a vacuum. Most councillors may not, I would argue, in this country, have a full-time job. I think city council, their councillors is paid the most nationally in terms of stipend. The last time I checked, they get about $60,000 as a stipend, right, per month. It's not a salary, it's a stipend. $60,000. You got some councils. Councillors might be getting $10,000, $6,000 as a stipend. You can't live on that. So to eat, I gotta go now and get to work 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day. So in my spare time, council will get my attention. It's just the reality. If we reimagine government, we might say, to get the best out of our councillors, we got to pay them a full-time salary. So all they got to do is focus on what they got to focus on. Think about being a councillor. You got a whole expanse of real estate to cover. How you doing that on 6,000? I want to do it. I want to do it. It's not that I don't want to do it, but the circumstances that the current councillor is operating under, and if the councillors on the coast would get struggle with that kind of remuneration, imagine those who are further out, who ain't got a bus to catch, but might got a boat to get between one spot and the next. Might be two boats. One boat cost maybe the 6,000 as a councillor is quarter the boat fare. What I'm showing you is the reality. Mr. Mama didn't carry a boat, you know. He's making representation now. Leader of the opposition. I'll get things done. I only need to say it. All right. So unless we reimagine government, look, part of the problem. Every leader of the opposition got to figure out where the office is going. And I've raised this issue with you all before. Where the leader of the opposition office going? If you get a building, you could use your building. Or a room. But of course you want somewhere proper. So you got to rent. You got a ceiling. In that budget I told you, the opposition leader will have to put together. You have a ceiling. Rent might be $500,000. Let's say that's the budget Parliament caters for. $500,000. Can't give you no proper office befitting that station in this oil economy. You understand me? You got to get somewhere to people. Here's the thought. Why don't we build an office for the leader of the opposition in one spot? In one spot. You could bring in 3 or 4 new staff, but they got at least 2 people there all the time. The record keeper, the manager of the facility. You got to keep switching rung. By the time you're done, you got no consistent records. Somebody come in, they fling away this, they fling away that, fling away the next. They break up the computer, they break up the desk, break up the chair. You got to start back from scratch. How are we going to build anything like that as a country? One fixed place. You don't worry. Nobody worry about opposition telling the opposition, you know. Nobody don't worry about the opposition until they're in the opposition. Then I tell you all, I told you all I'd resign from politics. Nobody goes from 0 seats to government in one election. You don't go from 0 seats to 1 to government in one election. I lie to y'all. But folks seem to have been convinced. And now, a lot of people waking up disappointed. That's why the man abusing out in Black 42. Right? Where did the Black Tank they bring in? University of Guyana Vice Chancellor told me once I was asking about something. He says, now that we're cheap, we got to buy what we money can afford. It's not that we want dig well, But if it's 4 black tank money we got, the man was saying, you no different from the PPP. They're bringing black tank, you bringing black tank, and what we need is a well. Is that the same thing we said? Representation. Right? Folks don't get 4 brush cutters like Mr. Norton gave just yesterday. 4 brush cutters. But you gotta sit down inside. What did we do when we were inside? The PPP has not, in the last 5 years, in all of the increases in salary, matched the 77% we give. They will not match the 77% that we gave in totality in our 5 years. And they had oil, we didn't have oil. You know what they will come to tell you? The PPP and others, you know what they will come to tell you? Oh, APNU ministers raised their salaries by 50%. By 50%. They wouldn't say, and they raised workers' salary by 77. They wouldn't say that when they came in, they were so offended by this 50% raise in salary. They didn't reduce it. As a matter of fact, every raise in salary that public servants have had, ministers have had it too. So they've added to the 50%. They wouldn't say that. Now that's part of the hypocrisy in politics. When the outside abuse down, 50%, my God. And when they're in a position to roll back the 50%, same old PPP. My God, this oil contract, the 2016 production sharing agreement, my God, this thing here is murder. This thing here is unjust. This 2016 PSA, production sharing agreement, my God. And then when they come in, we're going to renegotiate it on the outside. And when the inside, sanctity of contract. Sanctity of contract, we can't change it. It's going to destabilize. And that's the same PSA that bringing in the millions of US dollars that giving away this $1 trillion economy. The same PSA. The very same PSA. And everybody told us we can renegotiate. We knew that the clause was in there, but them boys on the outside, this dastardly production sharing agreement 2016, we're gonna renegotiate this thing once we're inside. 5 years later, I'm counting. 5 years later, it's the hypocrisy of politics. Tell you all, you're campaigning poetry, sweet nothingness, governance, prose. You see, there's not 3 months we got and we had, you know. It's 5 years. 5 years. And I'll tell you this, the same reality that you will see at the Regional Democratic Council is a PPP who appoints the REO, the hands of the money. It's not the chairman. The same PPP that appoints the REO that handles the money. Same PPP. And at the local government level, same story. The council has a certain latitude with the taxes and the rates and taxes. And then government with the subventions to council. Same interplay. Same interplay. So unless we're not reimagining governance in this country, we do things the same way, get the same result. The same result. And that is what we are waking up to. It's no representation. Where's this boat? this boat is in bad shape. 5 years now, we're saying that. 5 years now, we're saying the boat in bad shape. But them people only giving money to where they get votes coming. Only there. Where the votes emanating from. You can't build a country like that. Is that inclusivity? I had but 15 odd issues to share with y'all. But as the Spirit was flowing this morning, as his Spirit was moving this morning, but it's a discussion we have to have. You know, I'd love to ask some of them in a year, if so long. Even when people, how was your thoughts about being on the NDC, the RDC in particular? How has it changed? Has your expectations been met? Some of you are going to apologize to APNU FC. We accept. Let's move on. We speak people. Some of you are going to apologize to APNU AFC. Right? You're going to apologize. You might not even want it publicly, but just on your breath. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I saw one, the man was so incensed. This is better we vote for we own. It's better we punish on we own. All right, I can close the live now. I can close the live. The man was so incensed. What black tank you bringing here? Just like the PPP. This we put you there for black tank. The rusty water. We're going to the black tank. We gotta fix the problem. It's rusty water going in the black tank. We gotta fix the problem. And then he come to the conclusion. Well, if we punishing and we own and we punishing and you. You see, politics in this country, different, you know. Different. But we can continue to put people first. We can continue. We ain't just waking up to, I gotta make representation. We'll continue to make the representation. Learning from our mistakes. Taking heed of the setbacks we've had, the challenges we've met. Right? And up our game. I'm not complaining. The aim is not to ridicule anybody, but just to point out. Just to point out. This is what we've been doing. Traveling this country and making the representation. And folks are now waking up. Oh, representation got to be made. Don't expect me to give out thing all the time. Our leader of the opposition will come to communities to make the representations. All right. Over to y'all. Show us how you do it. Over to y'all. Show us how you do it. Show us how. Folks, I'm looking forward to seeing you in your communities. We continue our engagements. We continue reaching out to you folks on the ground, making the representation. Thanks for joining us this morning, folks. That's going to do it for us. Some very lively comments there. We're not attacking nobody, you know. We're having a robust discussion on these issues. That's going to do it for us this morning, folks. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Juliet and Carol and all the other folks who are joining us there. Luan and I see Sheena is here too. Jacqueline, Ginny G. Thanks for the word. Thank you so much. Indigenous Heritage Month, lots of activities still going on. I'm going to try to stick myself in, participate in some of them. Heritage is heritage. Folks, it's heritage. Joy Wong, Deborah Marlin, right? Is it Tanaka? Landy, good to have all of you on the live this morning. Folks, share the broadcast for us. That's going to do it for us at this end. That's the 10, that's our broadcast. Stay safe. We're going to see you guys at the end.